Today, I'd like to tell you a little story about independent thinking. A born-again Christian receives a visit from the local Jehovah's Witness missionaries. Exercising independent thinking, they decide to open the door rather than to simply ignore it. In spite of his knowledge that Jehovah's Witnesses, over a course of 100 years, have taught a lot of nutty things, this born-again Christian, once again, engages in independent thinking by deciding that he will study with these witness missionaries. The born-again believer continues to engage in independent thinking as he continues to invite the witnesses over and over again. After being thoroughly indoctrinated in Jehovah's Witness theology, the born-again believer again exercises independent thinking when he decides he wants to be a witness also. The subject of our story continues to study in order to prove himself worthy of being baptized by the witnesses, and once again engages in independent thinking when he decides that he wants to go forward with the baptism after answering the extensive list of questions that he must answer. But something rather interesting happens once our friend becomes a baptized member of the Watchtower Society. All of a sudden now he's bombarded with information discouraging him from thinking independently. Independent thinking is a sin for Watchtower enthusiasts and members. He is no longer permitted to talk to his friends and family that are not baptized witnesses. He's no longer allowed to step foot into a church or a Christian bookstore or to read anything that's unfriendly to the Watchtower Society's positions. Furthermore, he's even discouraged from reading the Society's earliest publications because the Society views that as old. And for the rest of his life, his actions, his thoughts, his whole life basically is run by the scribes and Pharisees in Brooklyn. Out of fear of being seen as an apostate or a wicked person, the subject of our story stays with the organization and goes along with their ban on independent thinking. And as a missionary for the Jehovah's Witnesses, he relies on the independent thinking of other people in order to help him minister to them, only to later on discourage them from thinking independently once they become baptized members of the organization. It becomes a vicious cycle until you have millions of people being led into hell with Bibles in their hands because they're putting their faith in an organization rather than the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Independent thinking, logically, is not the enemy of truth, because truth can stand on its own 2 feet. It's a lie that must avoid independent thinking in order to be less likely to be uncovered as a lie. And the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses knows this, and therefore they discourage independent thinking in an attempt to keep their people enslaved. These exciting titles and many others are available at lulu.com/Christopher LaRock. Check them out today.